Right, hello, it should be recording. I just want to make a couple of videos. This is going to be the first one that I'm making today. And it's all about wrestling. I know there's a concept that a lot of people would say that wrestling is a sport. It's understandable it's a sport, it's in the Olympics. But I don't ever favour that type of wrestling. I have always been a favour of what we call the entertainment value of wrestling, and that is more or less to do with professional wrestling, the one that you get in a ring, where over the years we've had some great wrestlers that have actually fighted. And I used to be a very, very big fan of wrestling. In fact, one of my earliest memories, and this is a crazy memory, but it's a bloody good one anyway, because at the time I was very excited that once, I must have been, it must have been the early 90s. I was probably only about 12 or 13, and I was always forever being up, you know, well, not like I am now, but I was always forever sometimes getting up early, and, you know, because I could never always sleep all night. And the fact was, at one point, I remember going downstairs, and the light, the switch, the room, it won't blink, the light bulb had gone, and I thought to myself, darn it, I'm sitting here in the dark. But I was watching wrestling. WCW had come on. It was ITV or Central or something. It used to be about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, this show, wrestling. WCW. And I watched it, and that's a memory of sitting in the dark watching wrestling, because the light switch had basically gone. But back in the day, I was a very, very big fan of wrestling. I haven't actually watched it for a long, long while. I see clips now and then, and it's sort of like, it eludes me, because I'll see a wrestler and I'll go, I've never heard of him, and then I'll see the odd few wrestlers that I know, and then you get the one that I don't know, and I'm kind of not tuned in with it. And I did manage to see some of SummerSlam that was on the internet, because I'm not very happy that you have to pay now to watch the big events of wrestling. We pay for our Sky subscription and all this and that, and then they expect you to pay extra just to watch some big event of wrestling. It's diabolical. So I got it on the internet thanks to a good friend of mine that I know, and I managed to watch Bret Heart, who to me is my favourite wrestler of all time. And it's not only that, but I do believe that, you know, and I know that wrestling is fake, I understand that, but whether it's true or not, I have always believed this, and it's always been, you know, and I could be wrong here, but I'm sure it's a told story that English wrestling back in the day, particularly in the 70s and 80s, it used to be real. English wrestling used to be real because of the way they were fighting, the way they couldn't actually, you know, beat the hell out of each other up, because they knew that one wrong move would have been fatal. And that has always been known, you know. But yeah, I love wrestling. I think it's well, I'm not saying I'm a massive fan of it now, but I would watch it if in that time. And the one thing I'd like to watch is a bit more of the English wrestling, particularly over the years. There was a friend I used to know at school, and he knew somebody who was a wrestler, professional wrestler in English wrestling, which is like the coolest thing in the world. And he used to do, he used to be I can't quite say what, can't remember his name, Catweaver or something anyway. And he did actually fight with some of the big wrestlers at the time. I do believe that some of them are still going. You often, given their age, spot them round the old wrestling rings in England, like Kendo Nagasaki. When they took his mask off, you actually got to reveal who he was, but he was a great wrestler. The one thing that I think wrestling has not got anymore, and I don't know, it probably happens in English wrestling, but not so much what I see in WWE now, is the actual good and bad. There's always been that concept of the good and the bad wrestlers. It was never that the bad wrestlers were, you know, and, you know, that used to always happen a lot in WWF and WCW back then, where there was always that good and bad. It meant that the good wrestlers always fighted the bad wrestlers. Everybody would want the good wrestlers to win. If the bad wrestlers won, usually sometimes it was tactics that they had their manager to help them, you know, do something to make them win, you know. Mr. Fuji would come down, and he'd have his wrestler, whether it would be someone like the Orientex wrestler or whatever, and they're, you know, and he'd probably have like the Demolition or whoever, and they'd be fighting against Legion of Doom or some tag team, and all of a sudden he'd have these little tactics that would make the opponents lose. And then, but at that time there was always a case that wrestlers could transfer. So you would find a wrestler who was a good guy, and then all of a sudden he'd turn bad. And that was an interesting concept as well. There was the ones I could think of. I think Macho Man was one of them. Shawn Michaels was one of them. Demolition was one. They've been both good wrestlers and they've been both bad wrestlers. And that, I don't know whether you get that anymore in wrestling. It's not a case of that. I don't think you do. Which is never a shame, really. I think it's just a case that all wrestlers fight each other, don't they? I think these days. But yeah, I just want to share a little bit about wrestling, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who like it just as much as me. And I did use to collect the wrestling figures. I was very big on that one. But anyway, just thought I'd share that with you for now. So stay tuned for more of my videos, and subscribe if you wish. I do like to have more subscribers. So bye for now.